everyone, welcome to Millennial Psychologist. I'm your host, Dr. Margaret Lee. Are you feeling sad, anxious, lonely, or depressed during this holiday season, especially during COVID? Today, I'm inviting my friend and colleague, Dr. Akshay Naresh, clinical psychologist in California, to talk about holiday blue and what we can do about it. Hi, Akshay. Welcome to the show again.
Glad to be back again. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being on the show. I know you have worked with college students in the past, right? And
Yes.
understanding this time, around the holidays, Christmas, New Year's coming up, and especially this year during COVID, a lot of my clients are stuck here.
Yeah.
Right? Alone or even though they're married, some of their partners might be overseas and they haven't seen them for months. So they're really feeling it.
This year is harder than most years, and any normal year, people have holiday blues, and what it is pretty much like anytime from like November to December, you just have feelings of sadness that just last throughout the holiday season. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One, it could just be time change, right? The weather changes, you have less sunlight throughout the day. Some people have seasonal affective depression, seasonal affective disorder. So that means whenever the sunlight gets diminished and whenever the weather changes.
I mean, some client asked me,
of course,
or did they?
Of course it is.
That?
I used to go to Alaska during the holiday season around this time, and people used to tell me all the time, like they do light therapy there because they don't get enough sunlight around this time. It is 100% real. So time change is a big trigger for that. Another trigger, like Margaret, like you said, this year is a rough year, right? So whether you're stuck with your family all the time and you're trapped and quarantining with them, or maybe you're not seeing them at all. Right? And the normal festive season that you can have during the holiday season, we might not have that this year, right? It's hard to have that same festive, same jolly vibe with the holidays this year.
And it's so complex because, some of my clients are not going home because they want to protect the elderly at home, right? So it's like, we're concerned, we miss you, but then I can't do anything about it. So
I know.
What can they do?
Yeah, so I have 5 tips. 5 things you can do, 5 things to keep in mind so you get through this holiday season. Tip number 1, set realistic expectations for the holidays, right? What I mean by that is remember that this year you might not be able to do all the things that you used to do or that you would have liked to do. So set reasonable and realistic expectations for what your holiday is going to look like. It doesn't also mean that the holiday is going to completely suck this year either. Telling yourself like, oh, like screw it, like November, December, this is going to suck, like I don't know what I'm going to do anymore. That might not be realistic. Just as like, oh, I'm going to have this wonderful holiday with my family. We're going to send presents. I'm going to go and travel. I'm going to go to Hawaii. Maybe that might not be realistic either. So a realistic expectation might be just working with the resources that you do have. Quality time can still happen in so many ways. It can happen virtually. You can still treat yourself. You can still buy presents. So assess with yourself what resources you do have and how can you still give yourself a holiday that you still can have for yourself. So that's tip number 1.
How does that look like?
It can look like so many different things, right? You can have a virtual get together with your family. Like I have a virtual get together planned the day before Christmas for Christmas Eve. Even though I don't normally celebrate Christmas, we're getting people together from all over the country and we're all having like a gift exchange done. We're sending each other Amazon presents. You can still decorate your house. You can decorate your living room. Give yourself a holiday, but a very realistic one. And when your expectations match the reality that you're giving yourself, you don't have to feel disappointed by it, right? Usually disappointment comes in when the expectations that I have completely are unmatched with the reality that I'm experiencing.
Okay, I guess we can try that.
Yeah,
give it
Yeah.
a try. But I know you have 4 more tips. So
I have 4 more tips. Number 2 here. Don't isolate. Try not to isolate. It can be so easy. If you're in lockdown, if you're quarantining, it can be so easy to just be on your own island. The holiday season has always been about family. It's always been about getting together with loved ones. And yes, while you might be trying to protect your family and your loved ones by staying away from them physically, doesn't mean we have to isolate from them at all and completely detach from them. Zoom meetings, FaceTime. I'm a big gamer. I love video games, right? I'm a huge video game person, and the season right now, a lot of video games have come out. There's games like Among Us. There's some fun games like Fall Guys. You could play these games with other friends or family members. It's a great way to connect with them. Put on a headset like this and have a gaming session with them, right? So there's good ways to.
You mentioned that because sometimes there's this stigma against video gaming.
So much. I work a lot with the young adult population, and a lot of times there's a generational cultural sort of misinterpretation of video gaming, but video gaming is such a positive way to connect with people. I think for me personally, video games have saved me during this pandemic. I mean, there's a balance between like playing a game like 7 hours in a day and being able to connect with some friends like a few times a week just from playing games together.
Yeah, maybe we should do a future session on this topic.
That would be really cool.
If you're interested, comment below and let Dr.
Yes. Actually, tell us what games you play. If you play any games during the pandemic, I'd love to know that.
Great.
But yeah, there's plenty of ways to not isolate during the pandemic. So try to identify what ways you can connect with people. Ready for tip number 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Tip number 3, know your stress triggers. Okay, what triggers your stress? What triggers your anxiety? Could it be watching the news over and over again? Could it be social media? Social media is a big one, right? Seeing other people post pictures all the time, maybe seeing their posts with family. It could be really hard not to compare your situation to someone else's. Maybe family, maybe certain family members. This is for people who are locked in with their family, right? You might be seeing too much of them sometimes.
Yes.
Depending on which.
Going home and not able to go anywhere because
yes,
can't go back to college.
Exactly, right? So I'm always used to, when I was in college, I would come home for the holidays. I can only imagine how it's like to just constantly be with your family all day and not really have your own space. So identify what's triggering for you, and if there's a time to limit your triggers and give yourself safety and your own private space, this is the time to do that. So if you're watching, if the news and social media are too triggering for you around this time, cut time from social media and watching the news. If certain family members are triggering, I'm not saying just ignore your family and just throw them away and don't ever talk to them. I'm saying like maybe give yourself some private space. Ask for it. Be assertive, ask for space if you need it. It's okay to set limits on your stress triggers. But the first step always is just identify what could be stressful for you around this time. There's a lot of things that can be. So once you identify it, then we have a better idea of what you need in order to create yourself a less stressful environment.
How do they know that they're triggered at the moment? A lot of my clients tell me like, I'm just becoming very anxious, and then the next minute I'm panicky. I just can't help myself, but just couldn't breathe. I couldn't handle it. Like, how do we become more aware of that so that we don't panic?
Getting totally overwhelmed.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a good question. I get that question all the time from my clients as well. I try and offer like a very realistic solution. Sometimes we can't figure it out before. It's okay if in the moment we have an overwhelming response, we feel panicky. Immediately after, if we're able to like break it down and say like, what just happened there? Like, what triggered me? What was so stressful for me? What can I do next time, right? It's okay after it happens to be able to pause, to debrief, almost do like a self-assessment and just check in like, wow, okay, I had a stressful interaction with my mom, and she said this, I said this, that really triggered me because of X, Y, and Z. I felt overwhelmed. Next time this happens, here's how I can cope with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to just debrief, check in with yourself after it happens. Two, I think in all like overwhelming emotions or unpleasant emotions have a buildup. So start to notice internal body signs, right? Maybe you start to notice your stomach churning a little bit before you feel panicky, or you start shaking or trembling, or your breathing starts getting really shallow. So pay attention to your body. Your body gives you so many different signs and signals before something major happens. So once you start paying attention to it, you'll start to notice like, uh-oh, I am starting to have shortness of breath, or I'm really sweaty right now, or my hands are shaking. So when that happens, it's important for you to realize like, okay, what can I do to give myself space now? What breathing exercises? What can I do to give myself a relaxing self-care moment?
Sometimes I tell my clients, it's like, please route your frontal lobe back. We need our frontal lobe during those moments.
Yeah.
Right? We need, because when your amygdala, right, which is the fear center, get turned on.
That's it. It just takes over. It takes over completely.
Takes over, right? How do we kind of like wake up, like this is happening?
So a good way to remember is your amygdala gets triggered a lot of times by your senses, right? Anything you see, anything you hear, anything you smell. If we use those same senses to trigger our calmness or relaxation, our amygdala shuts off. It doesn't need it, right? So if, again, same example, if I'm hearing something that's upsetting me, maybe I put on some music. Maybe I have a good playlist on Spotify that I could have of relaxing music, put on my headphones, and then my amygdala is like, all right, wait, I can't get triggered if you're listening to this song, right? So give yourself a soothing playlist. That actually is my next tip. Get a coping kit. Get your self-soothing, self-care coping kit, right? One great way I like to create my coping kit is using my 5 senses. So what things can I see? What things can I hear? What things can I smell? How do I provide myself an environment that's really comforting for me? I have this like really nice blanket right here, so I get to touch it. I get to feel warm and comforted. Weighted blankets are huge right now as well. So what does self-care look like? Take in relaxing baths, get a bath bomb, feel comforted in that. Maybe there's some comfort foods that you can have right now. What does self-care look like? Start with your 5 senses. Get a good coping kit.
So this is the sample of mine. I've kept it since I was at Kaiser. Some of my Kaiser clients are very familiar with this. There's this stress ball.
Nice.
Like some lavender, like this.
I love lavender. It's a great smell.
It actually calms you down, right? During the moment, right? I have my lotion, right? Tap into the 5 sense, right? This is the texture, right? Texture and scent.
Yes.
Right. And I know, and for some of my clients, they really love, some lip balm. Okay, like some lip balm, because the moment you put it on, this one is rose.
Yeah.
Right? Give you that little sense and texture.
I know, it's nice.
The pretty mole, right?
Yeah.
Different scent as well, right? With
essential oils.
Essential oil and some affirmation card.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
I don't believe in myself, right?
Yeah. Margaret, I especially love how portable it is and how small and compact, right? That self-care coping kit that we can keep for ourselves can be something we can put in our pockets, in like a little bag. We can carry it around with us wherever we are.
Yeah.
So even that question around like how do I regulate myself when I'm feeling so overwhelmed? If that kit is so handy and accessible for you, it's so easy to remember, right? I also recommend people like keep Post-it notes around. Like if you want it in your room, on your computer screen, keep a Post-it note like, hey, remember to breathe, or get space for yourself, right? If we look at it and we see words on a page somewhere, it can be so much easier for us to have that logical brain get activated and be like, oh, snap back to reality a little bit.
Yeah, or like, drinking tea. drinking
Oh,
tea,
yeah, hot, warm
cold
tea.
water actually.
Yeah,
Any kind of extreme temperature. Of course, don't burn yourself or.
yeah. Cold temperature works really well. So get a little ice pack, put on your neck. I know it's hard because I wouldn't want to be cold around this time too, but if you have something cold, it tends to reset your brain automatically. Just it's like putting a power off button on a computer that's not working.
Reboot your system.
Reboot, exactly. So final tip for the holidays, and I especially love this one. Remember, gratitude and kindness go a long way. Okay, first off, kindness and acts of kindness. I personally believe the holiday season, especially this time, is a great time to be kind to people. I mean, I think it's good to be kind to people all the time, but it's a great time to show acts of kindness, right? Where you're so used to giving presents, charitable donations, things like that. Those activities can still continue, right? Just because we're distance away from people doesn't mean we can't still give presents. This is the time, if there's some people in your life that you care about, that you feel warm and loving towards, tell them about it. Send them a lovely message, buy an Amazon package or a gift and deliver it to their address, right? So these are moments to be kind. If there's a donation or a charity that you normally donate to during the holidays, do a donation. There's nothing better for your own mood and self-esteem than doing something good for someone else. And if there's random acts of kindness or selfless acts that we can do for others, it's a good time to do it. I saw a story in Minnesota where 900 people in a Dairy Queen bought meals for someone behind them, and it 900 people back to back. It happened like a week ago. So it warmed my heart, and I think if you can do something kind for others, it's a good time to do it. Another aspect of it is also gratitude. Keeping a gratitude journal. And by the way, I think gratitude gets a bad reputation because it's not just about saying like, oh, I'm grateful for my parents, or I'm grateful for my partner. It doesn't work that way. Don't just say you're grateful for them, say why you are. Connect to the feelings that you get from being around them. Like even a pet. Pets are so wonderful and important around this time, and they could be like the source of our gratitude. So connect to why your pet or your fur friend makes you feel grateful right now. Like what feelings does that bring up for you? Connect to those feelings. But yeah, so those are my 5 tips for getting through the holiday blues. Realize that what you're feeling is normal. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people are in the same boat as you if you feel this way as well. And there are things you can do about it.
Wow, that's amazing to hear. It feels less isolated already.
Yeah, well, we're connecting through Zoom too, so it's nice to still have something like this happen virtually.
Yeah. You know, if you are really wherever you are watching this video, you know, still feels very isolated, you know, start kind of taking out a piece of paper and you'll be surprised how many people in your life that you forgot that you actually reach out to, or, you know, maybe this friend, you know, back in, you know, Arkansas that connected with you, but then you lost contact, right? Like activate your social system, right? Some of these people in your system, you know, maybe they were blocked because of, you know, past guilt, you know, past wrongdoing, right? Or, you know, your parents, grandparents, you're like, ew, that's weird. I don't want to say I love you. Like, for some of us from family, right? Like,
I know, it happens.
Right, let's see if they're identify the blockage. Are there any blockages that prevent us from reaching out and expressing our gratitude and connecting?
You know, the interesting thing right now is the friends and family and loved ones that we have that are thousands and thousands of miles away get the same airtime in our lives as the people who live across the street from us, right? Because everything is virtual. So I remember for me, like I would spend time with my friends locally. We'd go out, we'd go to restaurants, we'd hang out, and I'd not consciously, but I'd be ignoring some of my long distance friends. Now we have the opportunity of holding them as important as the people right next to us. So if there's a way to connect to those long distance friends that you haven't connected to, even if it's not a grudge, you don't have to hate them or anything. You just be like, we've lost touch. Connect to them, and they might be free to connect as well. So now is the time to really do that and expand your social circle. I 100% agree.
Yeah. On top of that, I also want to add another point of connecting to nature. Right? Come and take a walk outside right now. It's gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
Fall color, leaf. It's very refreshing. So if you've been working so hard this year, right? A lot of us are working so hard this year because work from home, boundary is very loose.
Yeah.
Right? If let's say you've done all of the above and you still feel like some emptiness in your heart, you can connect with your nature.
I love that. Absolutely love that idea. Take a journal outside, and I like to do like a count the trees or count the colors outside as a way for you to be mindful of nature. Because I know for me personally, I could go outside and take a walk, and I'm thinking about all the stressful things going on. So when you're mindful with nature, you could connect to the colors, connect to the sounds that you hear, the smell of nature. I think the air right now smells more beautiful than it ever has. And it's especially after it rains. I love that smell. Yeah, connect to the feeling that you get when you're outside with nature.
So, take this time to also slow down and tune into yourself, even though sometimes it can be scary, right?
I know.
You haven't done it for a long time, and it's scary to do so. It's okay. Like, you don't have to overwhelm yourself either, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you feel like that, like panicky, like anxious feeling of tuning to yourself, go back to your kind of self-care kit, right?
Yep. Put on a nice YouTube song or YouTube video, cat video or something, and put on some headphones. Cover up in a blanket. That's your self-care. Get some warm tea or coffee. That's great. That just sounds great for me right now.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Akshay.
Of course. Well, thank you all for being part of this and for listening. And again, put some stuff in the comments below. If you have any video games, I want to hear about video games especially.
Yes.
But thanks, Margaret, for having me.
Take care.
Of course. Bye.